This is Autoline Daily, the show dedicated to enthusiasts of the global automotive industry. The Russian invasion of Ukraine is definitely going to have an impact on the global auto industry, and it's not just from higher prices at the pump. Russia is a major source of palladium, which goes into catalytic converters. Ukraine is a source of neon gas to make semiconductors, and a source of graphite, which goes into EV batteries. That's going to send the auto industry scrambling to find alternative sources, and no doubt they'll have to pay more to get it. And some automakers are going to feel the pain more than others. Hyundai, Nissan, Toyota, and Ford all make vehicles in Russia, and those operations will probably run out of parts real fast. The Russian car market is not gigantic, but it's not small either. Automakers sold 1.6 million passenger vehicles there last year. The Hyundai Group, including Kia and Genesis, lead the market, selling over 377,000 vehicles last year. AutoVAZ, the Russian car maker, which owns the Lada brand, was next with sales of 350,000 vehicles. It's mostly owned by Renault, and even if you don't include AutoVAZ, the Renault-Nissan-Mitsubishi alliance is a significant player in the Russian market, and so is the Volkswagen Group. What we're likely to see now is a surge in the sales of Chinese cars in Russia. 10 Chinese automakers sell cars in Russia, and last year they collectively sold 115,000 vehicles. Some, like Photon, barely sold any at all, only 37 cars. But Chery and Great Wall have some decent volume, easily outselling well-established companies like Ford, Stellantis, and Mazda. Earlier this week, rumors started swirling that Volkswagen is planning to spin off Porsche, and now VW officially confirmed that it's considering a potential IPO. No final decisions have been made yet, but here are some of the details of how it would work. VW would hold a majority stake in Porsche. Porsche would get 25% plus one share of the new company, and the remainder would be sold on the open market. Shareholders would get a special dividend of 49% of total gross proceeds from the IPO, and around 130,000 VW employees would get a €2,000 bonus. Volkswagen says the IPO money will help it pay for its conversion to electric vehicles.
Mobility is becoming electric, connected, and autonomous, just like the manufacturing world. But will always be one thing: a reliable partner for our customers.
Despite a lot of ups and downs, Faraday Future says it's on track to start building its all-electric FF91 in the third quarter of this year. It showed off the first production intent model completed at its plant in Hanford, California. And this is the first time we're seeing how things like the lighting and LiDAR package will appear on the production vehicle. These pre-production versions will be used for engineering validation and testing, and eventually certification. While the FF91 will only be made in limited numbers, Faraday also revealed that it's already working on a second, more mass-produced model called the FF81. It's going to be contract manufactured in South Korea by Myung Shin, a Korean company that mainly makes hot stamp parts for automakers, including Hyundai and Kia. This is what's called an asset-light strategy, where it outsources almost all of the development and manufacturing to avoid massive spending, similar to what Fisker is doing. The FF81 is expected to start rolling down the production line in 2024, but Faraday still has a long road ahead of it. It says it doesn't expect to start turning a profit until 2025. The Volkswagen Group is getting more range and faster charging out of its EVs thanks to new software. It provides updates to the function, control, and design of the infotainment screen, instrument cluster, and head-up display, as well as changes to the battery's thermal management system. Temperature control is now activated at lower temps and is continuously adjusted to get the battery to its ideal range faster. These changes also allowed VW to increase the fast charging rate from 125 to 135 kilowatts, which speeds up charging. The Škoda Enyaq 4 and Enyaq Coupe 4, as well as the US version of the 2022 ID4, are the first models getting the new software. The Škodas now get about 20 more kilometers of range, depending on the model, and the ID4 is up by 20 miles. But Škoda says it will also offer the new software to current customers who don't already have it, while Volkswagen makes no mention of doing that. But it's not an OTA. Owners will have to go into the dealer to get the update. Big Oil is starting to go electric. Shell and Hyundai signed an agreement to explore ways to reduce emissions from their operations, and that includes building a combined EV network and services in the US, Europe, and Asia, as well as expanding the hydrogen infrastructure. Interestingly, they're also looking into in-car services like vehicle management and smart maintenance, and Shell will be the preferred charging provider for Genesis EVs in Europe. Shell currently has more than 80,000 charging points around the world, but with partnerships like this, it plans to grow that number to over 500,000 by 2025.
We want to know what drives your testing. OTA, connected car, diagnostics, remote testing. Intrepid Control Systems is here to help you work from anywhere. Intrepid Control Systems, driven by your data.
Chinese tech company Baidu is at the forefront of autonomous technology in China, and now BYD chose Baidu as its AV supplier. Baidu will provide BYD with a modified version of its self-driving platform that it uses for its Apollo autonomous ride-hailing service, along with the maps needed to make the system work. According to Gasgoo, the two companies are already working on integrating the technology into BYD's cars, and the first model will start production soon. Volkswagen hasn't released the price of its ID Buzz in the US yet. That's the electric successor to the iconic VW microvan. But we now know what it costs in Germany, and it's a pricey little bugger. A bare-bones commercial version is $51,000. A nicely equipped passenger version goes for $71,000. So look for US prices to fall somewhere between $50 and $70,000. Rivian is pretty bullish about how well it can do. CEO RJ Scarin says the company is aiming to get 10% of the US EV market by 2030. We wonder if that also includes the commercial market, since it has a huge order with Amazon. Last year, Rivian only sold about 1,000 vehicles, but that market share goal suggests it expects to sell well over 500,000 a year by the end of the decade. And good news for electric truck startup Nikola. The company's shares jumped 10% after it said it expects to earn between $90 and $150 million in revenue this year. It starts building its Tre B EV truck towards the end of March and expects to deliver 300 to 500 of them this year. It started pilot tests of the fuel cell version of the Tre at the end of January with Anheuser-Busch in California. It's also expanding its plant in Arizona. Once it's up and running, it will have the capacity to build 20,000 trucks a year. And even though it was only sold for a few years, one of the most iconic cars in the world is making a comeback. DeLorean Motors Reimagined is going to show off its new age version of the DMC-12 at this year's Pebble Beach Concours in August. As you can see from this teaser, it will have a more shapely hood and a new lighting signature, but it retains classic features like the gull-wing doors. I don't know about you, but I can't wait to see more. And that brings us to the end of this week. Thanks for making Autoline Daily a part of your day.
Autoline Daily is brought to you by Bridgestone, solutions for your journey. Intrepid Control Systems, over-the-air engineering, boost your game. And by Schaeffler, we pioneer motion. Wards is the industry leader for news, data, and analysis. That's why companies across the globe subscribe to our premium service, maybe even your own. Log in for subscriber access now. Check your company's intranet for details, and rely on wardsauto.com to keep you informed.